Adele. So I thought I'd just sense check a few things. So I think my suggestion would be you just prototype what you want to do first and just learn a bit about supabase and learn how it works and the implications it'll have on your bubble app. And there's a few things I was doing yesterday and it just really brings to light the sort of strengths and weaknesses. So yesterday this app I ran 2 reports and each report took about 8,000 woo. And the reason I was running that report was to understand why these graphs these numbers had gone up. So basically, then what that query basically does is this. So I'm going to run this query in Postgres, and it tells us the numbers straight away when it costs nothing. And that is basically the same sort of aggregation query that this is doing, done in Bubble. Very slow, very costly, difficult to do. So, that's a good illustration of the strengths of using Postgres or using Supabase. However, then let's just look at another app, and let's just have a look at another app. So in this app, what are we looking at here? What am I showing you here? So, what am I trying to explain? So, in order to, this app has pretty much stores nothing in Bubble. It's everything, including the users, is in Supabase. And what that looks like. What that looks like is, from the Bubble front end, it looks just looks the same. So this data that you're looking at here is coming from Supabase. It loads very quickly. This is everything you see here is nothing that is stored in Bubble apart from the UI. And in this login logout, this is logging into Supabase. And so from the front end, you can't tell. You can possibly tell because it's very fast. But it's just reading through what you wanted to achieve. What is interesting, what is happening here is what's happening in this app is interesting because the users are in Supabase, and what that means is when you authenticate, it's basically the authentication sits in the session of the user in the browser, and the connection is directly to Supabase to a REST API and pulls back the data, and that's incredibly fast. A little bit complicated because you have to manage the plugin, and you have to manage data types in here. So you have to manage these data types in here, and you have to manage. There's some functions as well, similar to what you want to do with your. There's many ways to do that thing that now's its century, but this is one way. And that works really well. But if your users are going to be in Bubble, and that totally makes sense in your case because you don't want to make massive changes to your app. Your users are in Bubble, and your data, some of the data is in Supabase. It means then you have to use the API connector, and then give access to that API connector via some controls that you're going to put into the Bubble app, because the basic point here is that the row level privacy that Bubble gives you with privacy rules doesn't apply to data stored on Supabase, and the row level security that Postgres or Supabase provides doesn't apply in Bubble. So in this is something to sort of ponder and think about. What the huge benefits you're expecting won't come straight away, because one, you'll have to continue to use the API connector, and two, you've got a lot of sort of stuff to learn and complexity. All of this stuff here is basically these reusable elements. It's a good pattern to use. It's one recognized by NAS, but this is the sort of thing you'll have to get in place. So this basically is the source for a repeating group. If I just have a look at something else here, and I'm just showing you these. So this thing here has a source of that reusable elements thing, which is sort of bound to an object, which is bound into connecting to supabase. This is how we grab all the objects. And the equivalent thing in Bubble is just to go search for blah. So I'm sort of what I'm signaling here, I'm trying to illustrate is you're going to be bringing in a lot more complexity and friction to change things. There's sort of this hybrid approach. You kind of don't get the full benefits, but then there are things you can do which are just off the charts amazing, which is just seem amazing if you come from a Bubble world. I don't come from Bubble world, I come from old school world, but like running this sort of you can run this query here. And you can and don't be alarmed by seeing all that what appears to be code. ChatGPT does a hell of a lot for it. This AI assistant in here is pretty good as well. Yeah, so to get this kind of calculation of what was in the database, if I was to do that in Bubble, it would be way too expensive and way too slow. But anyway, I just wanted to have a chat, check we're on the same wavelength. I would just also sense check. I read your requirements. I think my recommendation is you've got a lot to get to grips with and a lot to learn, and I would start with a prototype and just build from a prototype.